Oh, Nick.
Oh god.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
A hot dog is not a sandwich.
it is.
Why is it a sandwich?
We've had this discussion before.
It's in
Yeah.
between two things
No,
of
it's
bread.
not. It's wedged within a single piece of bread.
But what have you cut? But that.
Yeah,
what
but
have you
If you're
cut
cutting
in
your hot
half.
dog bab all the way through, you're fucking doing it wrong. In the first place.
So are you saying if you get a single slice of bread and fold it over?
Yeah, it's not a sandwich. It's a pita.
No, it's not. It's a sandwich.
It's not a sandwich.
It's definitely not a pita. I would say that.
Because you can have like...
Okay, it's a low-tech wrap then.
It's a B-Tech wrap.
I would say it's a sandwich.
It's
I would say it's a sandwich.
Not a fucking sandwich.
Is a burger a sandwich? Though?
I want you're
Yes.
the food expert. Weigh in on this debate.
See, I would want to say that it's a sandwich.
It's not
Yeah.
a fucking
But
sandwich.
like, I get it. But I think okay. So here's an argument that Amy and I actually have about hot dogs as well, right? It's that if I put a sausage, right, into a hot dog bun, is that a hot dog?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like is a sausage in a bap not a hot dog?
Well, that does not matter. That does not matter. The big thing, which I can
Yeah.
I can see the argument for this, is that because it's not what we would normally have here, but a hot dog, the difference is the type of sausage. Because you know
it's
how
a
like
wiener.
yeah, right.
Or like an American
like a
wiener?
Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
So
Frankfurt.
it's essentially like the outer bit that's kind of like the big difference. You know how it's got that kind of like almost like leathery, I guess, kind of.
so-
outer,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, right?
right.
It's just to stir the pot. So if a hot dog is a sandwich,
But if it's not,
But if Nick, if it's
Okay.
what's
gonna have to
if
really
you-
stretch
if-
my. I'm gonna have to
No,
suspend
right, yeah,
my
yeah, sorry.
disbelief
So
here.
if a hot dog is a sandwich, why do we have sausage sandwiches then?
Yeah, exactly. That's why this is wrong.
That's just to play devil's,
It's
just to stir the
a
pot here.
subcategory of sandwich.
It's
It's
a style of sandwich.
Subway is a whole different thing.
like you know the way like there's Cuban sandwiches.
At a push, a hot dog is a sub, but it's not a sandwich.
He
So
says
is a sub
I could
not a
go to
sandwich?
Subway and get a hot dog.
I don't think Subway. Their definition of sandwich is very.
Subway
don't- 'cause
does
they
like
don't cut all the way
Italian
through.
sausage, right?
Yeah.
What
So you
is
can
a
technically get a
sandwich?
hot dog then, because you can get an Italian sausage.
No, I think a
sub.
hot dog needs to be a whole sausage.
I would love to see you go in Subway, Alex, and be like, yeah, like a hot dog, please.
Like
Well,
if I give you a typical hot dog, like a sausage and kebab, but I've cut up the hot dog into bite-sized pieces like you're a child, that's
Uh-huh.
not a hot dog. That's patronizing.
I don't think that's what it's called, Nick.
But like if someone is cooking up a barbecue and I'm sitting there, fuck yeah, hot dog time, and hands me a hot dog, but the sausage is cut into pieces, I'm throwing it back at
Hey
them.
man, maybe they just want you to get like sauce in between the slices to make it even.
Why would you need to do that?
Why wouldn't you? That's a
It's
genius idea.
on top
Maybe
anyway.
they were double checking. They thoroughly cooked the sausage. They were trying
Yeah.
to save you from food poisoning.
Cut it in the middle. Don't cut it in the
Yeah, but they
bite-sized
need to cut it in the
pieces.
middle a bunch of times to check.
Yeah, there's a new middle every time you cut in the middle. Like.
That's not how that works.
All right, guys. I've got a new theory.
Okay.
Is a hot dog a taco?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that is
Only if it's made in Mexico, though.
you throw some salsa on there.
Because I typed in "is a hot dog a sandwich?" and you know that says like people also ask.
Yeah,
And
Hot
someone-
dog attack.
and then I thought about it and I was like, wait a second.
But obviously, it's a soft shell taco.
but then like that's like implied that like all right, so I'm going to make myself a peanut butter sandwich. Oh shit, I've run low on bread. I've only got one slice, so I'll peanut butter it and fold it in half. Peanut butter taco.
Oh man, this is. I would eat a peanut butter taco.
Oh, come on now.
Oh man, I kind of want taco now.
How have we got to like a 12-minute debate?
What's the next question, Hans?
See, I don't think it's gonna be as good.
What are unwritten rules of where you work?
Don't call a hot dog a sandwich.
All right, so I've got a list of like pretty like normal questions. All right.
Okay.
All right. First up, pineapple on pizza.
No. Pineapple, full stop, no.
What?
Fuck
Because
pineapple.
like pineapple.
What? Your opinion is void, right?
I have
Pineapple is a
made
garbage
many
fruit.
a pineapple pizza in my day.
Alex, you don't like cheese.
Yeah, I know. So
Again, opinion
Your
void.
opinion is also void, so it's
so
really
what-
down to me and I. So it's,
I do not mind pineapple on pizza. It is not what I would order, but like if someone
Yeah.
gives me a Hawaiian pizza or whatever, I'll be like, yeah, sure. Oh, no.
yeah, I have. Do you know what is quite good though? I find a Hawaiian pizza with a barbecue base goes very well.
Yeah. Okay. Then second question is a hot dog a sandwich? So we've already been
Yep,
over that.
No.
All right, let's not open that one again. Let's go. Moving on.
Okay. The correct way of eating a pizza.
What?
So
Like,
yeah, there are
from the-
different ways you could like I give you a slice of pizza, Nick. How are you eting it?
sideways, you
Like a
eat
normal
from the
fucking-
side.
Like a normal person?
No.
now, is it stuffed crust?
That does not change the answer.
It does for me.
Okay. All right.
Like, this is how you eat stuffed crust, right? I'm about to blow your fucking. I'm gonna change your fucking lives here, right?
Okay.
So, if you have a stuffed crust, right? You start at the crust.
No.
Yes.
No, let him finish, Nick.
You don't eat. You don't start eating it, right? You hold it at the crust and you roll that shit to get right into a cylinder, and then and then it's just like, oh, bro, go it, boys.
And then you snort your
Boys.
line of cocaine because you're obviously fucking stoned off your mind if that's how you're eating a pizza.
and then you dunk it into the garlic and
Right.
herb dip.
See,
and
Nick,
that
you
is
see,
it.
Nick, and you
How
thought there
is
was
anyone
normal.
eating a pizza? Like, are you implying that somebody out there eats their pizza from the crust down?
People do.
Yeah.
No, because then what the fuck structural integrity do you have by the end? You've
That's
just
why
got
you
this
roll it- you
fucking
roll it
floppy
together,
bit of
so there's-
tomatoey bread.
But that is why you roll it into the cylinder,
think-
because then you've
I
got
think-
that
Oh,
crust
your
all the way
cylinder.
throughout.
So I think Amy actually eats her pizza like almost like a circle.
Kick her out of your house.
Like I'm not sure if it is just straight up crust first, but I've seen her like eat like sides of pizzas first.
No, what the
Like,
fuck?
like just like it just
No.
like in do you ever imagine like a squirrel and they were like just like going along a line?
Just
It's kind of like
nibbling along it.
that.
I have seen people eat pizza with a knife and fork before.
That's fine. I will happily let someone eat a pizza. But if you are like going to town on a pizza with your hands, if you're not eating it from the thinnest bit out, then you're a fucking idiot.
So
Yeah, Hans.
so I
Try it. I'm telling you. Order stuffed crust tonight. Roll that shit into a cylinder, and then you eat that shit. It's like a big pizza dunker. It's great.
so I would just like grab the two crust corners, and like
Hold it.
pinch those. That way, it makes like the divot.
It's like a taco.
Yeah, almost like a taco, right? And then sometimes you do it right, and like the end bit is like sometimes it flops, sometimes it's like
it stays
boom,
rigid, yeah.
right? And that's how I eat my
You're
pizza.
still eating that from the thin bit
Yes, I am.
out.
I am.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
that is my technique. Is what I would do. Because I used to, whenever I was a lot younger, I was like asking my brother, it's like, how the fuck do you eat a pizza, right? Because like fucking, like it's just not like structurally, it's not great. And he just was like, here, like just grab your plate, just slide the pizza off it, and just no, right? And just like grab it with your mouth essentially, and then you just lift it off. That was like way back.
You were eating pizza wrong for a long time, man.
This was like less than 2 weeks ago.
Like I'm not being funny, but was it a cultural difference? Now
Now you're just being racist, Hans.
because like you
Hans,
see it in
please don't get
movies,
us me too'd for the love of
but
God.
like you see it in movies, right? How people eat pizza. Like it's not difficult.
I don't know. If you grew up watching like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm sure that is not a good example of how to eat pizza.
Also,
I'm sure they
the
just
cheese is never that
demolish
stretchy.
those motherfuckers.
I mean, like, it's a good way to eat pizza. It's just not a good quantity of pizza to eat.
All right. What's this one about? It just says avocados.
Fuck them.
It's just.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the Not So Super Bash Bros presents Game Club for June 2020. Yes! Game Club is back, the monthly video podcast review thing where we take turns picking games, go play them for the month, and discuss them for your listening pleasure. This month, I picked Ori and the Will of the Wisp by Moon Studios. And as ever, I am your host, the Heart of the Forest, Nick Davis, joined by the inappropriate jokes of the forest, Hans Davis.
That is too accurate.
The bad taste of the forest, Alex Proudfoot.
Hello.
And the social influence of the forest, IY Chow.
Hello.
Yes. How is
Has anyone
everyone?
else noticed that as Nick puts more oomph on his yes, he sounds more and more like James Brown?
And don't forget to rack that like button.
Yes, Ori and the Will of the Wisp by Moon Studios, the Metroidvania game originally released in March 2020 on the Xbox One and PC. IY,
Hello.
why did you pick Ori and the Will of the Wisps?
Because the sequel came out and I'd heard such great things. And you know what happens when you get high expectations?
They get met.
Nah,
That's such a positive attitude, Alex.
Also, it fills out your Game of the Year shortlist a bit more, doesn't it?
Yep. I'm up to one.
hey, Hans. So we discussed this the other day. I've actually already played 5 games this year.
Oh, yeah.
Are they of this year, though?
Yeah.
This
I need
must
to
be
ask you,
right.
Hans.
I am so proud of you. That's
Steam
not funny.
releases are still like this year's releases, right?
No. We had this discussion, Alex. They are not.
Unless it is a ground-up remake, no.
So you're saying Halo and Halo 2 are off the table?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah.
Shockingly enough, a game that came out almost 2 decades ago is off the table.
It wasn't even a fucking dining room, Alex, let alone on the table.
So as ever, I've split this into 3 categories. Gameplay.
Ah, fuck yeah.
Characters and art.
Yeah, choke me, daddy.
And would you like to see another Ori game?
Oh, I'd like to see it so much.
God damn it, Nancy.
Well, Alex isn't doing that anymore.
Yeah, but at least, like, he didn't make me feel uncomfortable.
He made me feel uncomfortable. He ruined ASMR for me.
But before we get into the categories, I have to ask the all-important question. How far did everyone get in Ori? I finished the game, which you can watch at the link in the top right-hand corner.
I
Now,
can suck your dick a bit more there, Nick.
yes, I'm going to advertise. I've been
What
streaming
was it
on
before
the
you
channel.
called it?
What?
What was it before you? What was the show called before we went with the Playing With Ourselves title?
I can't remember.
Game Club Raw.
No, that's still going to be a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, Game Club Raw is when I'm streaming the Game Club game for the month. Everything else would just be playing with myself.
I just thought I would have been playing with myself.
No. I like to
But
keep them
I don't know
separate.
what sounds dirtier, Game Club Raw or Playing With Myself.
Hans, how far did you get?
I got 3 out of the 4 wisps.
God, what a little bitch.
That dark area actually made me rage quit, and I haven't rage quit a game in a long time.
Alex.
I finished it.
IY.
I also finished it.
Sweet.
So what we're
Why did you
hearing.
just slow
why I
down there?
paused there.
You went like, but you also kind of like you said Alex and I why like you were suspicious of something.
I don't know why.
All that matters is that everyone knows that the three of us can finish, but
Hans
Hans can't. Yeah.
That's my
For each
problem.
quits before finishing.
Yeah, that's literally the story of my life.
So, the gameplay. I think the most important thing to point out in the gameplay, especially considering back to our original episode on the first Ori game,
But
is...
you can see here, put it up, Nick.
Oh, God damn it.
See how annoying that is?
Is the combat. We had really critiqued the combat previously and said it was very lackluster because it was just you mash a button to fire out projectiles to enemies around you. So, and it seems like that criticism, not specifically our criticism, I don't think they listened to our episode, but a criticism overall was taken on board, and they've pretty much completely overhauled the combat for the second one. And it's much more focused on this melee combat, which you get like this big light sword type thing. And honestly, I think it's an insanely massive improvement over the first game. Like, it turns, for me anyway, the platforming previously being the big highlight to, I really, really fucking enjoyed the combat. And, like, they are now on equal levels for me between the platforming and the combat. I think it's just the best thing they could have done for the sequel, honestly. Like, if they had just done the combat and kept literally everything else the same, then it would still be a fantastic setting for a sequel.
I think they went too far with the combat.
In what way?
They added.
Like, I'm thinking, when you say too far, I'm thinking Ori Dark Souls for some reason.
You mean Hollow Knight?
Hey man, this is just Hollow Knight.
Hans, right, spoilers, this game is just Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
So they added way too many options. And spoiler, if you didn't watch Nick play this game, he didn't use any of them.
Yeah, and I still completed the game.
Yeah, so why are they there?
Because I don't think giving people an option is a bad thing.
But, like, it doesn't...
Like, I don't think the combat suffered from having that many. Like, I don't think, like, any option that you particularly went with was like, oh, this is completely unviable because there's so many other options and they didn't focus on one. I still feel like every avenue of the combat is still 100% viable. Like, despite the fact there is that many options. I didn't use, like, I very much stuck to, like, the sword and usually, like, the aura. Like, that you could put around you to deal damage to people. And, like, those were pretty much the only things I used in combat.
I smacked some dudes with a hammer. That's
Yeah.
Did that once or twice. So
I
yeah.
used quite a lot of them, and some of them just felt so unnecessary. Like, this thing you throw out and it comes back to you. Why use that instead of the spear? Because the spear is just way better.
Well, I assume that the thing that comes back can do a return hit.
Yeah, but the spear does more damage.
Doesn't that cost more to use, though? Is that not the thing?
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, because in boss fights, you get the crystals to give you the energy back.
That's still a trade-off, I feel like. That's still an acceptable trade-off. It's like, yeah, you have this thing, maybe not as strong, but takes up less of your energy. Especially if you're early on in the game where energy is a more finite resource.
I just felt like all the extra stuff just felt so unnecessary.
What was your opinion of the improved combat?
So, I would agree that it is improved because there is combat, but
True, something is better than nothing. You are correct.
well, not always. No, not always. But I'm not a fan of games with collision hitboxes, like for damage. That is, sorry. In a game where like you don't actually have like a dodge move per se, right? You've got like the little flippy dash, but like it doesn't like cancel animations or anything. There's no invincibility. Like it's none of that. It's not like it's for traversal, not for combat, really.
Yeah.
And what I find really odd, I guess, is you have this huge wheel of abilities.
A radial menu, you might say.
Sorry, a radio menu. And yet your basic sword swing is part of that, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I
it
think is
takes
kind
a slot.
of weird.
So that did catch me out a few times where I was like, oh fuck, which one of these is my attack button? And then I realized I don't actually have my attack equipped right now. And it was I will say, like, that's something I noticed a lot in the game is I did it a lot where I think it was your bash and like the grappling hook were on the same button, and it was just contextual. And there was a couple of times where like my brain just froze up and was like, I feel like I shouldn't be hitting this button to do this action because I just used it for something completely different. I feel like that happens a lot, and it feels like there's a lot of times where like there's buttons that aren't used. Like I don't remember what you use the triggers for in the game, apart from to bring up the radio menu. And like there are times I feel like that could be on a different button or done in a menu, and you could free up a lot more buttons to use. Because there was a lot of times where like my brain didn't comprehend, because there's a lot of using the same buttons for different things. My brain just like stopped at times, like this doesn't seem right.
It also it hindered you using abilities in different zones, especially the dark zone, because you're given an ability which takes up a slot.
Yeah.
To like move about the dark zone. I'm assuming you're going to have your sword on. So there's 2 of the 3 slots taken up. And like, that goes back to why do you have all these abilities?
If you can only equip 3 of them, I agree. I think it's like that selection of abilities, but yeah, limiting yourself to 3 of them is just like, I'm never going to use all these.
Yeah, like even like move the button to say, like move the button that opens the radio thing to like one of your D-pads buttons, and then have the trigger be like an alt, so you can have 3 other abilities equipped or something like that.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Like, I think just from playing other video games, right?
Yeah.
Like, you had your sword, I think it's default to X. Or not X,
Yep.
X. And I was like, oh, well, if I have a heavy attack, like the hammer, I put it to Y. Right? And that's kind of what I did. But then later on, it was like, okay, I'm just going to ditch the sword, just because I don't use it, until later on in the game. And I just made that as my attack button. But, like me having to do that in the first place is just a bit weird. But I think, like, the combat, I don't know, the combat just didn't feel necessary, which is weird, right? Because it's like, oh, like we complained there wasn't really anything to do with combat in the last game, but like killing enemies was not really satisfying in this game. I would say I would either like kill them really quickly with like the hammer, or like later on in the game, whenever I realized how OP the spear was, I just chuck that at them. And like, I never felt like I was doing anything cool, quote unquote. And then I hated the boss fights.
Okay.
Like
the boss, I feel like we should broach the subject of the boss fights. So, at the start, I really didn't like the boss fights. I will say, like the first, I want to say what's the first main boss fight?
So there's
Wolf, is it not?
Like,
yeah.
okay, not counting the wolf, because like that's, well, no, I can't count the wolf, because I know like the dark area has the spider boss. The water wheel doesn't have a boss; it just has a chase sequence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like before you even get the quest to go see all the wisps, like there's just a chase sequence as you leave the water wheel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the water area has a boss fight. Is that it?
The final
Like
boss
before
fight.
you get to the final boss?
I guess there's not that many, right?
Yeah, I think
There's no ice boss fight, is there?
What is the ice ending?
Is
think
either your
it's
streak attacks you, and then you just kind of
It's an
escape an
avalanche.
avalanche.
Ah, right, yeah.
And then the sand area is you run away from the big worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's
So,
like a mixture.
The spider one was the only one that I really didn't like, to be honest. Like and I think that's part and parcel is I think that area is rough in general, just because of the design. Like the rest of the bosses I really liked. They were very like obvious in what they like. All the boss designs were kind of the same, bar maybe Shriek towards the end, which has like the insane like final phase where you just have to like stay in the air. That was really fucking cool. But like a lot of the bosses were like, okay, dodge their big attacks, typically like jump up a wall and then jump over them to like kind of free up more space, or dodge at the right time to get to the other side of them. But overall, I really liked the boss fights. Like they weren't spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, but I think they were completely serviceable, and it was more about the spectacle of them for most of it.
Plus, they were actually boss fights this time as compared to the last one.
Yeah, which
were usually boiled down to run away or sneak.
Yeah. But like, I think like you're not coming to this game for the boss fights, but I think as like end set pieces for each of the areas, I think they're a welcome break from the chase sequences. Even though I think there is still always a chase sequence. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I'm gonna say fuck the boss fights. I think they were not great. And even from like, I don't even remember what the first boss in my head is, but there was one. It was like a really basic one. But I remember being trapped in the corner. Whenever I was
I think that's the wolf.
Yeah,
and I think that's the wolf.
And like Shriek for that entire fight, like Hoyle stays on like one side of the room.
Yeah,
and like you have to kind of like find the moments to move forward to attack him and get back out.
Yeah, like I felt like in this game, just generally in the boss fights, I just used the invincibility frames of just like getting hit, and I'd be like, "Fuck this! I'm just gonna run through him while I'm invincible," because like it's really weird because whenever I look back on the bosses, like they're really quite scripted, but at the same time, I just didn't feel like ironically, there's so many options in this game, but I didn't feel like I had the right options to like dodge, I think.
Yeah.
Because this game is a lot about the best part about these games is traversing. Mm-hmm. But in combat, as Nick said, you tend to run up the side of the arena and then jump over their heads, which isn't really that interesting.
I actually like. You said like you weren't doing anything cool in the combat, but like I find I would like string together a couple of things and it would look quite cool though. Like it was to me, see if you use that counter ability like properly enough, you can string together some really cool maneuvers, I think. And I think that's why I really enjoyed the combat this time around, was because you come like if you strung together like, okay, I'm gonna attack him and then this projectile's coming, so I'm gonna fire that back. Or I'm going to turn around and fire that towards the guy I've been attacking, and that's going to fling me up towards the guy in the air, and I can attack him. Like, if you string that together, you kind of come away going like, fuck, that was boss.
Like, yeah, like that's why I really enjoyed the last phase of the Shriek fight, where, like, you are forced to juggle, alright, I need to get in close, but I also need to make sure I'm not putting myself in a position where I can't bash off the projectiles and up into the air to get the height again, because there is no ground. And it's like, that's part of the reason I really enjoyed that fight, is it felt like rather than just run up the side of the wall, jump over, dodge and attack, it actually felt like the proper combination of the combat and the platforming elements.
Mm-hmm.
So I think on paper that last phase sounds really cool. If you said to me, "Oh yeah, the one mechanic in Ori that made Ori was like the bash move," and that is like where you end up in the last one, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. But I just find that last bit kind of frustrating because whenever that phase starts, the things from the sky, which you have to jump on, are random. Which I know there's quite a lot of them, but it's still random. And then the boss will do the same 4 sweeps in the same order, which makes it quite predictable, but at the same time, like, if you're not in the right position for it, you just get hit. And I think because, I don't know, I'm pretty sure, like, in that part of the game, like, you just get, like, 1 shot or 2 shot.
Yeah.
I felt. I just found it really quite annoying, to be honest. And then at the end of the day, like, all I did was survive that bit, then spam the hammer in its face before it reset, and then I killed it. Because if it reset, because I think if you take too long, it does the same thing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, fuck that shit. I'm not going through this shit again. I don't know. I just did not. It is not bad. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it is not. But I do not think it's good, personally. Like.
So as I mentioned, the other side of the Ori formula, that sounds weird, is obviously like the traversal and the platforming elements of it. And if this game is a Metroidvania, at the end of the day, similar to the first one, you're unlocking new abilities that let you that open up the world to you. But it feels weird in this one because you do the first bit of the game and the owl gets injured and you're like, oh, go find the wisps. And then it lets you out into the world and it's like, alright, you can go do any of these wisps or most of these wisps in any order. And it felt really hamstrung because part of the fun of a Metroidvania game for me anyway is slowly getting these new tools to your arsenal that you're slowly putting together to do these cool things. But whenever you're telling the player they can go and get certain tools in any order, it feels really weird, and you don't get that satisfaction of stringing together your equipment and your new abilities to have these satisfying moments. Because, like, the ice area gives you the fireball that you can do you can essentially increase your jump by using the bash off it. And it's really cool, it's really interesting, it opens up a lot of new, like, ideas. But because they can't design a game, like, design the rest of the areas, knowing you'll have that, it's very strange that you could get it and then just completely leave it in your menu and never use it again for the rest of the game.
Like me.
Yeah, I used it a couple of times, but very rarely I would think, oh fuck, I need to use my fireball here to get to a higher area, because it was the first area I went to and I got that ability. And then until you converge all the paths, you can't design areas with that idea in mind. It was a very weird choice for like a Metroidvania style game, I thought.
But I did find it weird that in the 3 zones, there were optional areas where you need the sand diving.
Yeah.
But the sand area is, the end of it only unlocks when you get the other 3 wisps.
See, like that, I think that stuff is fine, because you're obviously, a game like this, you're always going to want to have...
It's fine, but it's weird at the same time that they use the fireball in the snow area, but nowhere else, really. Because you can get all the optional stuff in the other 2 zones without it.
Yeah.
So, it's just weird the way they...
It's the idea of giving people a reason to go back and visit these areas with new ability, like once you have a new ability, which is like a core to a whole Metroidvania experience. But it's the fact that you can go through the entire other areas and never have to use the fireball. Like, that's the idea, is like the sand thing you can get, and you think, oh shit, I remember a bunch of places where that sand was, and I can now progress and get whatever secret was behind the wall. There's never a place like, oh, I can't actually like reach that area, it's too high up, because they never really bring it back.
Do you think it's a case of because a Castlevania is, for the most part, relatively linear game, because you have to say you get the powers in certain orders to unlock the events in which you're going. Do you think they've tried to make it like, nowadays a game that's seen as linear is usually kind of frowned upon? Do you think they tried to like make it non-linear and just kind of ballsed it up?
I wouldn't call it linear by any stretch. It's just, it feels like it was not thought out well.
But that's what I mean. Like it's in what's that stupid one that's like Minority Report, the Castlevania game?
What?
You know, the Castlevania-esque game. It's like, is it Dark
Shadow Complex?
Shadow Complex, that one. So like you get it's although it's not laid out as linear, it is a linear game in the sense that you have to get you get the tools in a certain order to unlock the areas, right? But games nowadays that are viewed as linear, it's almost like a negative thing. I don't like, for some reason, games like, oh, they have to be open world. You have to have let the player make their own choices and stuff. Do you think they've like tried to do that in a sense of, you can try and collect it in any order you want, and then they just balls it up because it goes against the grain of a Castlevania game?
But like you say, game. There was Bloodstained was made by the guy who made like the OG Castlevanias, and like it was very much like this old style like Castlevania game, like Metroidvania, and you had this, you could get to areas, but there was like, oh no, I can't progress, or I can't. You would see countless things like, oh, I need something else to like reach this. Like that's just the way a Metroidvania is. Like it was like, I would be fine if the game told me you need to go to this one first, then this one, then this one. Because as long as it still gave me the world and I was still seeing these bits of the world, like, oh, I can't access this yet. I wonder like what I would need to get up there or get through this thing. Like that's the appeal of like this Metroidvania style game, is constantly thinking, as soon as I get a new thing, it's like, oh shit, all these places that I could have got to before are now flowing through my head because I now have this new piece of equipment. I think, and you don't get it with this because
speaking of they never do it. The ability to like break floors and walls, you have to buy it.
Yeah, like, again, yeah, that's weird to me. That was the weirdest thing to me. Was this core item that you legitimately need to progress through the game completely optional to buy, and like you could 100% easily miss it.
Do you need it to progress?
I'm pretty sure
you need it in the portal area.
Like,
I think there is at least one point where you do need to break the floor to progress. As far as I remember. If not, then I have no issue with it. Like, that's fine. If you do not need it
you do need it in the portal area to break the covers of the portal. But other than that,
no, you can just attack those.
Can you just attack those?
Yeah, you can just attack those with yourself.
You don't need it then?
Yeah, so, like, that's okay. That's fine, then. If you do not actually need it, I thought there was one place you do need it to, like, actually progress through the game. But if it's 100% an optional ability, then yeah, that's fine. Leave it as just something a vendor can give you.
It's just so weird, because, like, that's usually, like,
that's the first ability.
Like, that, like, I want to say that is one of the first abilities you get in the original Ori.
Yeah,
is the ability to, like, break the floor.
Dry pine.
So, my take on this is that, like, I think the map is just poorly done. Because in a game like, I'm just going to keep saying Hollow Knight, because that's, like, the most recent one. It's like a really good example of these games. That in Hollow Knight, there are multiple ways into an area.
Yeah.
But in this game, because it does the whole, like, almost like a, like Breath of the Wild, kind of like, here are your 4 objectives. And they're in their own little, like, biome. Right, their own little areas. It means like there are dead ends to those areas, right? They're straight up like there is a start and then there's an end to those, and that's it. Which means then, like as Nick said, you never get this feeling of, oh, I should like go back, because you're kind of done, right? Like it's just kind of that's it. Yeah. And this talk about the abilities, as Nick said, like because you can go through these in end order, like you can't just add this extra fireball jump to places. And again, because they are all separated, like you won't have all these extra bits. And it's just a bit sad, I guess, that like it is split the way it is split.
It's weird. It's weird as well, because I think that is something the first one did very well, where like it was obviously go to this temple, get this whatever aspect of the forest or whatever the fuck it was, and then go to this one, go to this one. And it had that linear design of go through the world like this, and you would see the areas, oh, I can now go back and do this and get these health shards or whatever. It feels weird that they feel like they've, like, honestly, they're probably the only place for me personally, I think they have, but it feels like they've regressed in this aspect of the game.
Yeah. So actually, so Alex sort of hinted on this, but he didn't actually, like, finish saying it, but as he said, like, the desert wisp thing is the last area, right? Is the last bit that you can go to.
Yeah.
But it is given the same importance in your quest log. Which is obviously wrong to do, right? Because if you say to someone, you can do any of these 4, but you can't do this one, but we're not going to tell you. Like, that's incorrect. But also, the sand diving ability, in my opinion, is probably, quote-unquote, the best used ability, because it is the one that actually made me think in the other areas, damn, I need to find a way to get through sand.
Yeah.
It is the only ability that I thought I actually needed.
But then, like, that's what I'm thinking is, like, that's the Metroidvania thing. Is like, oh, fuck, I now have this ability, and I'm now thinking, oh, God, there's so many places I was before that I can get through.
Or, Nick, you encounter my problem, where I have the ability, and I don't think that. Because, hey, I went there first. I cleared out the sand area. I got all the way to the door, and I was like, I can't get in. So I had to go all the way back. And I've got the sand ability. So I'm not thinking, oh, I need to go back to all these areas and do the sand thing. It's like, I already got it.
Oh, that's another thing, actually. The dark spider area kind of like brought this up whenever I got there, is the map really, like, this goes back to the whole, like, the map is split thing, where for the spider bit, a cutscene plays to open that area.
Yeah.
So it's very, what word would I use? Like, rigid, I guess? It's like, scripted, right? It's like, okay, we're going to play this scene, and then you can go. It's not like the whole feeling of exploration where it's like, oh shit, now I get to come here because now I blah 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 blah. It's like no. This NPC opened this door and it's like, oh okay. Like it's not very satisfying, the exploration.
Is there any final gameplay thoughts before we move on?
So what are the other two topics?
Characters and art. We'll probably lump story in there as well, to be honest. What little story there is. And would you like to see another Ori game?
Okay. So more level. So I should talk about any level stuff now then?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless it's like art design aspects of levels.
The game looks pretty, right? It's fine. Like
spoilers, man. Come on.
Yeah. No. So I just want to highlight two areas: the dark area and the last area. Right.
The tree.
Yes, with all like the rot,
the portals.
Right. So the dark area, and these two and I'm mentioning them together because they have the same problem in my opinion. Is that I feel that in the dark area and in the portal area, it was a lot of just leap of faith moments because in the dark area there were moments where like before you get the actual power to light, at the very start you have to essentially just run across until you get to the next light source.
Yeah.
Right. And there's just random spikes everywhere. Right. and I think that's quite like unfair.
Yeah.
As a kind of like just level design, I think that's like really poor in my opinion. And it was actually also the moment, like with hands, where I just put down the controller. I was like, nope, I'm gonna stop.
Step away.
I went back to it, right? After I actually played it until I got the light ability, but at that point I'd already like in my mind just like given up and just been like, you know what, this is a shitty area. Yeah, and then in the
we'll give my take on the dark area.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite bits of Ori is the chase sequences because they're cool, really cool set pieces, and they exemplify why the platforming is really good. The game gives you a lot of options to do things, and it means even if you stumble, unless you properly fuck it up, typically you can recover. And I feel like the dark area is like the complete opposite of that. So much of the fun of those chasings is this like fly by the seat of your pants, quickly reacting to things. And when the game suddenly limits your movement to a really tight area, it's so frustrating. It is so fucking annoying. And that is what's really annoying is the trial and error in the chase sequences is really fun because you're like, all right, yeah, shit, I just fuck that up. That's fine. I like take two, let's go. The dark areas is like, I fucked that up because I didn't know what was there and I couldn't actually, regardless of how this happens, I was in no position to see what was there and correct myself. And that's what's really frustrating about that dark area.
Yeah, also the fireflies you have to follow.
Yeah, that's part of the reason is like, yeah, you're now constrained at what speed you can go when so much of the game is I can get from point A to point B as fast as fucking possible. Also, and when suddenly you're like, all right, you don't need to follow this tiny thing that's moving at a set pace, it's really annoying.
Along a path that you probably haven't seen because the area is dark. Mm-hmm. So you have to like learn the obstacles it's bringing up.
Yeah.
So like, if you miss a jump when you're following the ferry, that's it. You have to restart back to wherever the hell it auto-saved. Because in that dark area, it seems...
I will say I actually thought the checkpointing in the dark area was generous enough. Like, I never felt I lost that much progress when I died.
No, I'd agree with that.
Like, I was either put back to, like, the nearest light source, or a couple of light sources back, or where the bug started. Which was never, like, you follow those bugs for, I'd say, 30 to 60 seconds at a time.
We have, like, an unwritten rule that most games have that one area that kind of...
Sucks.
I don't remember there being one in the original Ori. I think the fire.
I remember
like,
one of the trees.
One
of the trees that you went through or temples you went through really sucked.
But it wasn't as bad as the dark area.
I don't like the dark area is a massive misstep in just what I think it completely goes against the design of the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think the dark area is as bad as the last area.
Sorry, okay. Segue. Okay. Good job, Alex. To the last area. Oh, why?
Oh. so it's the same problem. Is that so? The whole gimmick of the area is that you have these portals that like suck you up and spit you out. And what's kind of interesting about these portals is it maintains your momentum.
Yep.
Kind of like in actual, like, like Portal, right?
Like Portal.
Yeah, right. But a lot of, and this is the big difference, I think, between this game and the first game is, let me see if I can rewind your memories back. But in the first game, whenever you learn the bash ability, do you guys remember having to like divert the shots through these portals?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you could see where the shots would exit, right?
Yes.
So you could plan ahead
Yeah,
and be
like
like,
highlight the portal in some way, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this one, it would throw you like off screen. So you don't actually know what's coming. And again, there's a shitload of spikes, right? Just everywhere. And again, just like with a lot of the combat, I just like invincibility my way through a lot of shit, right? Was like, I would come out of the portal, hit a spike, and just like triple jump and flip across like the rest of the spikes. And like, which is obviously not what was intended, right? And it goes again with the dark area, which is not a lot of player information, which means you cannot be expected to like do the right thing all the time because you just don't know what was there. That was my personal take on it.
I will say, like, the last area did not bother me in that way. I thought it went on too long. Like, I thought there was too many of those, like,
it's like 7 or 8 of them. Yeah,
there's 8 of them. Yeah, like,
rule of threes, guys.
Yeah, there's too many of those to take care of. But overall, like, I thought that area was fine. It goes back to the idea of, yeah, you got shot out of these portals, not really knowing where you would end up. But I never felt like it was firing me straight into danger in a way that was like, oh fuck, I can't react in time.
Oh, I felt like that. I felt like that. I felt like, if I go through a portal the first time, and let's say I didn't have enough momentum, I would just land on the spikes next to the exit. And then it would just be like, oh, okay. Well, again, like, thankfully the checkpointing in this game is, like, perfectly fine. Right? Yeah. But, again, like, if I'm a super awesome gamer, right? I should, like...
Maybe, did you have your gaming atmosphere on?
Probably not.
There's your problem.
Play that ad again, Nick.
No.
But yeah, like also, it's not like, maybe this leads on to the next topic, but like it's not the nicest looking area, in my opinion. Like,
I feel like this does lead on, but I feel like it's not bad looking.
No,
so to speak, it is unsettling more than anything.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. Like,
I don't know, I thought it looked pretty bad.
So
it looked weird.
Anything else before we move on?
No, I'm happy.
That dark area looked bad.
Yeah, you're right.
So the characters and the art. The first story was obviously an absolutely stunningly beautiful game, and I think we all commented as such. And it's no surprise that, now 5 years later after the first one, 4 years later after the first one, it's very much like it is the same. It is a beautiful game. It has been designed for consoles with higher resolution and all that jazz, and 4K TVs and all that, and it again looks absolutely stunningly beautiful. Like, I couldn't fault this game for how it looks. It's the design of characters, the design of the bosses, the looks of the areas, I thought were all amazing. But obviously you disagree in aspects.
I don't.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
You literally just said an area looks bad.
Yeah, the last area.
Yeah, but no, I just don't like sort of the... Like, it doesn't look bad technically. It's just like...
The aesthetic of it, is
yeah,
what I mean.
right?
But I feel like this is what I mean, like, similar, like Shriek, the look of Shriek, the character, visibly upsets me. But that's the idea of, like, it enforces this idea of, like...
Well, no. Because Shriek looked cool. Right?
No, I disagree. When your skeleton is on the outside,
cool design.
No, it is upsetting.
The last area,
the other upsetting design in this is that fucking toad being a marionette
that's
puppet.
Also amazing.
No, it is unsettling as fuck.
It's pretty good.
Like,
I thought that was genius.
I don't think any of the areas look bad. I think there is areas that look unsettling to reinforce the idea of, this corruption fucks things up.
That's
like,
great.
Yeah, that's fucking great design.
But what I'm saying is, it didn't look great to me.
You're wrong.
Not that, well, you're wrong. Right, we can both play that card. But what I'm saying is...
You're entitled to your stupid wrong opinion.
But I'm telling you, peanut butter is green.
Exactly. So, it didn't look great to me. Doesn't mean it looks bad. That's all I'm saying.
I think, like, you say it doesn't look great to you, that's grand. But, like, for such a high bar that this game sets, even the worst looking bit of it still blows the competition out of the water. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying, like, the whole thing is bad. I'm just saying...
You're not saying that one area had the eye bleach afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying...
It wasn't to the same standard as the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But yet, compared to the other games, it is still good. That even the worst area.
Well, it depends what you're comparing it to now. Let's not go into that. Hey, some of that game is pretty good.
I kick in the dick is better than Icy.
I agree.
Actual eye bleach would be better than
Hey
Icy.
man, having been the only one to complete that game, there are some levels that look pretty good.
I can't contest that.
Exactly.
We don't know.
I'm
not going to go back to play it.
I think I refunded that. I refunded that. That was a good choice. I lost nothing but time there, and God knows I have so much of that these days.
But the characters...
Yeah, I do think it's... I will touch on the story. I think the story is very... I think it's kind of a rehash of the first one, to be perfectly honest.
You say that, but I think the emotional beats don't hit as hard as the first time.
I feel like that's the case because they cop out so much.
Yeah.
Like, at the start... Not even, like, in the first one, it was this big heart-wrenching moment when your man comes back to life. Whose name's really escaping me right now.
You mean the mum?
Yeah, and, like, you're like, oh, thank God they're back. And then, like, so many times in this one, or at least twice, they're like, oh, this guy's dead, what are you gonna do? Oh, they're not actually dead. And you're like, right, what the fuck?
Well,
Stop doing that.
Well, that's kind of the thing, because, like, in the first one, right, she dies at the start because she literally feeds... She sacrifices the limited food to keep Ori alive, and that is devastating. Like, and then it's because you actually spend the entire game then trying to resurrect her. Mm. So because you go the entire game and get to the end, you're like... It's either like, oh, it's been so long that this isn't going to happen, or, oh, please God, let this happen. Whereas in this, like... The oil, like...
They're very upfront straight away that the oil is not dead. Yeah.
Yeah, like, no harm. Just kill that fucking oil.
Jesus.
Like, kill that oil, and then you spend the rest of the game trying to, like, resurrect it. You know, like, because the fact that it's healed 3/4 of the way through it, if even... Yeah, because like you've done what you've succeeded, so then it
doesn't come back to the very end.
Is it? I thought
like when the Gumo and the oil lady like fucking appear after, like, you get the one cutscene where they sail off on a ship and then they finally appear at the end of the game.
Well, they can't fly, so you know.
Like I thought that was hilarious. It was like you get one cutscene of them setting sail and then you never hear anything about them again.
Are they implying also that they're banging now?
I don't think so. Where did you get that?
They're like the mum and dad, plus some... I also got them from some questionable websites.
But yeah, the oil isn't healed until, like, after Ori makes their sacrifice.
But by which you kind of forget about the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even though you run past it every time.
There was a bit on the stream and that I was running to an area and ran past it. I was like, oh fuck yeah, that's what I'm meant to be doing. I had completely forgotten about that aspect. Like, that's why I was collecting these wisps.
But like, it's like you said, like, they make it kind of clear he's not dead.
Yeah.
Like, he's just injured, and it does kind of take away from it. Plus, the oil doesn't really make a sacrifice for Ori, which doesn't make it as
Hey man,
devastating.
it tries to stand up and shriek.
Just sound the big old bully.
Yeah.
It does not literally starve itself to death, which is just fucking heartbreaking.
I bet it would, though, right?
That's like some that's like some
would.
Animal Planet shit.
Yeah, like I do, like the story. I think there's not the big emotional hook, and even like the big emotional hook at the end, where Ori makes this brave sacrifice to bring life back to the forest. It doesn't feel like a big emotional hook. It just feels like this is Ori doing the heroic thing, because it's not like you don't see like the struggle of do I leave my friends behind to save the world, because they're not there. They don't appear until after that. It's very weird. For a game that got the emotional bits really, really well done, the first one, this one doesn't really work.
Yeah, so I read the synopsis because obviously I didn't complete it. So, Shriek, after you beat, because you don't kill him or her, you just beat her. And then, is it true she like flies away, and then the last cutscene you see him or her in is like curling up to her dead parents?
Yep.
That is more emotionally investing than Ori and anything Ori does in this game.
Yeah, no.
In fact, to me, that makes Ori the bad guy.
No. Like, to be fair, I think the main story of the game is whatever. But I think the world building is actually so much better in this game. I think, as Nick pointed out, those grotesque, like, artistic choices for like the corruption and stuff, like Shriek was a real like embodiment of showing the player like this is what happens.
Like this is the like obviously like the first game you see the immediate effect of here's what happens when the world tree dies, but I think like now seeing this and like the long running effects of like here's how fucked everything has gotten. Like even though your world is rosy and you saved like your oil friend, everything else is still fucked, Ori.
It also teaches the important lesson that hatred is taught and you're not born with it.
Is this the same story that's in the first one? Like with Kuro?
Kura.
Is that not like the exact same thing that happens in the first game?
I actually don't remember what...
Is she not like, oh no, I'm trying to defend my eggs and that's why I'm evil. And you're like, she's just like, I'm trying to defend like what little I have of my family and that's why I'm evil. Is that not like the exact same story? Am I imagining this?
But like the difference is...
Also a bird.
Shriek's family is already dead.
Yeah.
Whereas...
Kura's family is not born yet.
Yeah, but then there's still a chance they could be alive.
See, the origins of Shriek is they are outcast from the rest of the Isles because they're different. So, like, the baby Isles try to make friends and then the adult Isles chase it away.
Yeah, because Shriek is an abomination.
Hey, man, you don't get to choose how you're born. So
I'm not saying you should judge people because of that, but she still looks pretty fucked.
She's getting so topical here now.
I just like here's the thing which got me about the whole Shriek thing. Is there not really a closure to the story for Shriek?
Not really, to be honest. She just kind of retreats back.
Like Kura dies. And they're like, okay, it sounds terrible. But that's the closure, and one of her children survives.
Kura makes some big sacrifice, does she not, as well?
I think so.
Like, she flies something to the tree.
Yeah, but but she dies, and then at least one of her babies survives, is what her goal was.
Her legacy.
Goal it was in the first place, which is great. But like Shriek, literally you beat him or her, and they fly away to nestle beside the dead parents, and there's no closure there.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's assumed that they die.
That's what I assumed.
But then you because the thing with a villain is that you want them to have a redeeming quality, and you need to understand it. So like, yes, okay, they're trying to keep some semblance of their family, I suppose what it is. But could you not like them have like, they have to be has to make one big sacrifice that ends up the corpses of her parents smashed, but she realizes the greater good and saves the baby oil instead.
But then
and
that is literally the exact
family.
same, like the exact same character arc as the first game.
I know, but it's very unsatisfying.
Like, I will say, yes, I think it is weird. I did not get the impression that she is dead. I don't know. I didn't get that
she's just going to live with her dead parents.
I never went back to that area after the game to see what the crack was.
You can't go back.
Can you not?
No, once you
does the
complete
game,
the
like-
game, you load a save.
Oh, okay. Does it just boot you back before you actually enter the final area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess
like I don't get that impression, but yeah, I feel like there is for the arc that is like Kura and like her heroic sacrifice to save, like she all she's trying to do is save her family in the end, and she like realizes, yeah, I'm doing it the wrong way. Like I don't feel like Shriek has that for a character you're meant to think is sympathetic.
Also, at the end of the day, all the characters are dead anyway, so it doesn't matter.
What?
Yeah, because Ori grows into the tree, so all the other characters are dead.
Yeah, but they live out their lives.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, because they're all dead, is what I'm saying. So, it doesn't matter what character arc they have, it's all gone.
I feel like that's a very nihilistic way of looking at it.
to be fair, I actually did enjoy the whole like, oh, I've been the narrator all along.
I don't think that was the case. I don't get that.
I was like, oh my god, I never thought this is kind of weird.
For the
but
first
sure.
game, I don't think she's the narrator. Or I don't know if Ori
It's a
has
tree.
a gender.
It's the tree, but the tree is them, right?
The tree is Ori.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
but the
like,
tree is not Ori in the first game.
correct. But then now that they become the tree,
Yeah,
admit,
but I don't know if it's like retroactive or not. Like I don't know.
You don't think the narrator is the same in both games, and it's just Ori telling his life story?
Yeah, I don't.
No, I think the tree is its own thing in the first game,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and then at the end of the second game, whenever
Ori
Ori
becomes
becomes
the
the
tree.
new tree, like, but that sort of implies into the rest of.
but
Back-
I didn't get the impression that that Ori was the narrator, like the whole time.
Hey man, it was still the same broken voice. I'm gonna say it was.
Yes.
Yeah, it did seem like Ori was the narrator, because
I like just the way that they presented that as a haha,
Yeah.
gotcha kind of thing. It was like, oh, okay, all right.
I would need to rewatch my stream because at that point I think I was very relieved it was over, that I managed to beat the game, and it was just euphoric. I was watching what was happening in the background rather than reading the text, because I think that final cutscene's really sweet, where like you see them all playing around the like beginning of the new tree.
Okay, so I want to say this though for just the two games. One of my favorite parts. I think this is one of the complaints that we had in what was the last game we played?
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed. Where in Assassin's Creed there was just like the random time skip.
Yep.
oh yeah.
But I think in Ori it does such a nice job of just
Time lapses.
yeah, right. And like you don't need any text. You don't need any like words. It's just you just see it in front of you, and you're like, and you know,
Just crossfade, bro.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta do. Crossfade.
You just see them house get built, and then a roof get added,
yeah,
and
like
some shrubbery cut away.
Or even the like the very start, like, oh, they slowly show the progression of the season, like, oh, it's nice and sunny, they're on the hill, and then it's like, oh, it's winter, they're all sliding on the lake.
yeah. It's like, and that's like really fucking cool. I don't know what it is about it. It's like so simple, but like it just works, and it's great.
Any last bits in the character arc? I feel like this story discussion segs on to the final bit quite well.
The Toad, best character.
Especially when corrupted.
Yeah.
Oh, so horrifying. So horrifying.
In fact, dare I say, that corrupted thing, best character, because it makes the Toad even better.
I read the Wikipedia article earlier, and I found out what that thing is called.
Oh?
The Stink Spirit.
Okay, I take back what I said. That's a terrible name.
It's a fucking horrendous name. No, Bear is the best character.
Oh, Bear's pretty dope.
He has an ice beard.
I got kind of worried that I was going to drop that thing on his head, but
Yep,
it's fine.
100%. I thought I'd like smash that bear skull. So the final category, it says from our discussion about the ending very well. At the end of the game, they tease like the birth of a new spirit guardian. Like obviously years later, after Ori has become a tree and grown and become the new like tree of the forest and the world tree, that you see like another similar to the first game. You see like the seed of what Ori, from where Ori started, drop off the tree, implying that there will be a sequel in this world or some form of continuation of this story. And I would put to use, is that what you want this studio to do next?
Not right away, no. I would like to see them try something different.
Have they made anything else?
Because
Have they made anything else?
No, they have only done the 2 Ori games, the studio.
like I would like them to see try something different.
I wouldn't mind if they did it in the same universe, but a different style of game. I don't know what style of game, but like just
Battle
completely. Yep, Ori.
100 Oris
99
dropped from a
Oris.
tree.
Just yep.
You all have to make it back to the tree.
But like, just try a different genre.
Yeah. I really like this style of game they have kind of got a niche for, of like this. I think it's very different to other Metroidvanias like there, with this really fast-paced platforming like element to it. So, and I really want them to keep doing that, but I don't want to just see another Ori game with the same style of protagonists in it. Like, they do really cool, really fine, detailed art for their games. I would love to see them try and do something else with it, honestly. Unless they want to do something drastic to the world of Ori, like, I think when we first saw the trailer, when Hans, thinking back on one of our E3 episodes, Hans, like, when they first showed Shriek, I thought it was like some form of like half animal, half mechanical hybrid.
Yeah.
And I would almost like to see them like, alright, what happens when, I don't know, humans, for lack of a better term, or one of the species starts, like, realizes what fire is and uses, like, starts building machines like that. Like, takes the water wheels and all that to their next logical place and starts building engines and shit like that. And, like, what happens when industry comes to this world, essentially.
So you want steampunk Ori?
Kinda? Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like if they do another Ori game right away, what other story is there to tell other than corruption again?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Because obviously, they've obviously got themselves into a point where, like, it does feel like it's, hundreds, thousands of years into, like, on from where that was. I don't know what any of these things' life cycles are, but Ori is a big tree now, so I'm assuming trees take a long time to grow. So, like, presumably they are pretty far in the future from where these stories take place. So I don't know what, like, if we just
prequel map. It's gonna be like
play as the oil guy.
It's gonna be the tree from the first game. But you're gonna look exactly like Ori. That way, they don't have to like create a new character.
Yeah. See, like, that's what I don't want to just play another Ori game where I'm in this same, like, lush foresty world, because it just feels like at that point the formula is wearing thin.
I just want some hardcore, like, how long was this game? Like 12 hours?
Yeah, like 12, 15 hours.
I want a single 12-hour chase sequence.
Oh, God.
No checkpoints. You know what? We'll put an easy mode in there. 1 checkpoint.
Right before the end.
14 hours in, 1 checkpoint.
Like, but that's
it ends in a boss fight.
Like that is like my favorite part about these games is those chase sequences, is those set pieces. Like, that is for me what I enjoy about these games, and I think like those kind of creative elements can be taken to like a different game.
Yeah,
but I think you are right.
I would love to see them do, like, obviously they do these really nice high detailed world. I would love to see them do that in, like, say, a modern environment, like these really nice hand drawn, really finely detailed, like, I don't know, cyberpunk streets or shit like that.
I would love to see like a Bastion sort of game possibly with this, like that sort of isometric, and you'd have the narrator there as well.
I wouldn't mind if they basically said the forest is fine, but they take away the combat because obviously there's no enemies, and it's a purely like story driven, like you interact with the inhabitants of the forest. And you build up a story.
So and help.
You want Animal Crossing. You want Animal Crossing in Orange.
But there's one species of animals that's like trying to topple another, and there's like.
So you want civilization in Ori's world?
Oh, I just want like a narrative built thing that you don't need combat for. You can
Ori,
just like
the Telltale series,
like a puzzle platformer with like narrative and story beats would be pretty cool, because you don't need the combat.
I want to play the side story game where you play as like the guy who you give the seeds to, and it's just farming simulator.
Hell yeah.
I want to play the... Obviously, this is what they were doing when they cut out this whole bit of it. I want to play the game where your ceiling is those two. Like, to get to the area.
That's just Rafnik.
Yeah, that's why you never see that, because that's going to be its own wee side story.
And, if we all pick up Raft.
I thought you were going to say you wanted to be like the monkey dude at the start of the water wheel who like flips in to save you.
Yep.
I want an Ori game where you play as the stink spirit the entire game.
I want an Ori first-person shooter.
But like with actual guns.
Yep. Yep.
Or
So
you
it's
just
all
fucking
like
whip an
artsy and stuff, but you have an
AK-47.
AK, so you're just gunning down fools.
I want Ori bug snacks.
Fuck off.
Well, isn't that what that game is, though? Like, it's already set into, like, a forest, right? Or, like,
Yeah, but
nature.
I just wanted to bring up bug snacks.
It creeps me the fuck out. He had wieners for hands, Nick.
He dropped the lamp because he had weenie hands. Any final bits before we wrap up here? Okay, so overall, I really, really fucking like this game. I think it is a massive step up in most areas from the first one. I think they have regressed in one particular area in like the idea of the Metroidvania aspects of it. But the rest of it is just leaps and bounds flying ahead of where the first one was. And it's honestly one of the most enjoyable like 2D side-scrolling games like this I have played. And it's really opened my eyes that I should maybe go back and play, like try and get into Hollow Knight again, because this game is just sort of Hollow Knight. But overall, this is a fantastic, fantastic game. Hans.
I'm going to be a bit more negative, so... Whereas, yes, I think they've improved the game in some areas. I think for every area they've improved, they've dropped the ball in another. So, where I think the combat's improved, I think the world has gotten not so good, especially the navigation points from like point A to point B, because at a certain point you're like, yes, I fucking get it. I've killed you like 100 times and now I'm just going to try to run past you, but even that's a pain in the ass. For where I think like the visual standpoint is even more spectacular than last time. I think like the story isn't as good because they do kind of retread the same ground. The emotional cues just don't hit as hard. It's not a bad game. It's definitely not, but I don't think it's as good as the prequel.
Alex.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Hans. Like, it's an alright game. Like, it does stuff pretty well, but if you want to play a game like this, just play Hollow Knight because it's better.
Or, the original Ori.
Or Hollow Knight because it's still better than the original Ori.
Alright, fight me, bro.
Oh, is that you? Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, so I'm actually also going to be quite negative. Like, I think this is worse than the first game. It is better in certain aspects, definitely. And if you want a good wallpaper, just snap a screenshot from this game. You'll be flying. But I think I would still recommend this game, though. But I would say play the first game if you haven't. And I just realized, actually, back to the last topic, I think I know what kind of game I want them to make.
Oh, God.
Because I mentioned this in the first Ori, and the game I compared Ori to was, like, in my opinion, what I imagine a Sonic game should be. If it was just, like, like the chase sequences where, like, you just got to go, right? And I think they're so good at doing this and doing that, and that's what I would love to see.
That'd actually be pretty cool if they did make like a Sonic game with the same like paintbrush art style.
Yeah,
You know what Sonic loves?
Chili dogs.
Chili dogs. You know what game probably has chili dogs? Bug snacks.
Do you know? Here's a question for you though: is a chili dog a sandwich?
So, overall, 1 right opinion and 3 wrong opinions.
we're telling you, Nick, a hot dog is a sandwich.
Not about that. But I'd say overall a recommendation. I don't think any would say don't go out of your way to play this game.
Oh no, like play it.
Yeah, if we're going to play it, I don't
But
mind.
like, there's two other games you could play that are also cheaper.
Hey man, this is free on Game Pass.
It is free on Game Pass.
For $15.99.
What are you, boy? What? Game Pass is not 15 quid a month.
Is it up like the Premier Edition is like $15.99?
No. Game Pass is like $5 a month.
I don't believe you.
I'm pretty sure Game Pass is either a $5 or a $10 for Game Pass Ultimate.
I'm not sure.
What does Ultimate get you?
No, it's Ultimate. No, maybe I'm misremembering for Ultimate. I don't know if they do offer Ultimate anymore. Ultimate is Game Pass for PC, console, and Xbox Gold.
Okay, fair. All
right. So before we wrap up for the day, Nick, what have you picked for July's Game Club?
Do you want me to ask you that?
Nah,
so you're
that's
not
fine.
like a crazy person?
This way's even better.
Okay.
I've picked a game that I've been wanting to play for a long time. I've heard nothing but phenomenal things about this game. A lot of the praise around this game is, I wish I could play this for the first time again. And the game I have picked for Game Club is Outer Wilds.
Oh yeah, see, I was actually considering buying that the other day.
It is on sale on Steam right now.
I'm assuming don't get this mixed up with the Outer Wilds.
The Outer Worlds.
Sorry, Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
So the Outer Worlds is the Obsidian first-person shooter that came out around the same time as this, which led to a lot of confusion.
That is quite good.
It's also quite
is,
good.
yeah.
Has issues. Quite good, though. No, this is Outer Wilds. It is a first-person exploration game.
Oh god, it's No Man's Sky.
No, it's not No Man's Sky. It's 100% not No Man's Sky.
Is there underwater bits?
I don't know.
Why did you say? I actually got shivers at you bastard.
But no, this is a game. It got a lot of praise towards the end. Like, it got a lot of talk, and a lot of people praised this as one of the most inventive games and one of the most ingenious games of last year. And I am very excited to finally get around to playing it. Or, well, giving myself a reason to play it, so I actually do play it. So, join us at the end of July, where we'll be talking about the Outer Wilds. But for now, is a goodbye from Hans.
Have a good one.
A goodbye from Alex.
It's your boy. See you later.
And a goodbye from IY.
I hate all of you.
And a goodbye
Crunch that like button.
from myself. Smite that like button. And we will see you next time.